Hey everyone, we're completely surrounded by stuff. Things we use every single day without a second thought. But every one of those things, even the simplest ones, has a hidden story. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain.
So let's start with something like a wooden stool. I mean, it seems so basic, right, doesn't it? It's just a few legs and a seat. But the journey from a simple idea to the actual object you can sit on, it's this incredible story of choices, big challenges, and some seriously clever thinking.
And that journey, it's not just for the stool. It's for your phone, the notebook on your desk, the shirt you're wearing right now. So we're going to follow that journey step by step and uncover some of the hidden genius packed into our everyday lives.
All right, so where does any project begin? Well, before you can build anything, you have to decide what you're going to make it from. And that very first choice, it's way more complicated than you might think.
You see, you're not just picking a material. You're trying to juggle a whole bunch of competing demands all at once. First off, is it functional? I mean, can it actually do the job? Then, how does it look? What's the aesthetic? And of course, there's the big one, cost. Can you even afford to make it? And today, more than ever, you have to ask about the impact. Where did this come from? Is it sustainable? Was it sourced responsibly? It's a lot to balance.
Let's bring this back to our stool. If you choose wood, you get that natural, classic feel, but the material itself can be pretty pricey. On the other hand, plastic, well, you can make it any color you want, it's super cheap to mass produce, and it's lightweight. But it comes from fossil fuels. So what this shows is that for even the simplest object, that first choice of material is this huge trade-off between how it looks, what it costs, and, well, your conscience.
Okay, so you've made your choice. Let's say we're going with wood. Well, you can't just go out and start building with a tree. That raw stuff from nature has to be completely transformed into something you can actually use.
The process of making paper is a perfect example of this. It is an intense, multi-step journey. You start with actual trees. They get stripped down, chipped into tiny pieces, and then basically mashed into a pulp. Then that pulp gets washed, bleached, and finally pressed flat to become a sheet of paper you write on. It's a total, complete transformation.
And you can really get a sense of that complexity here, whether you're turning a whole forest into a ream of paper or pulling crude oil from deep underground to create the plastics that shape our modern world. Just remember, every single material has been on this wild journey from its raw, natural state.
So now we've got our material ready to go. The next big challenge is manufacturing. I mean, how do you make not just one stool leg, but thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, and make them all exactly the same, fast?
Well, one of the secrets is this brilliant little device called a jig. A jig basically does two jobs perfectly. First, it holds the piece you're working on so it can't move. And second, it guides your tool exactly where it needs to go. The result? You get perfect repetition, speed, and accuracy every single time.
Just look at this simple drilling jig. It is a perfect example of elegant design. You just clamp the stool leg into the device, and that little metal sleeve shows you exactly where the hole needs to go. No rulers, no pencil marks, no second guessing. This little thing is the key to making things both fast and incredibly accurate.
Okay, so we've made all our parts, but are they strong enough? Will they actually hold up? Any object, whether it's a massive bridge or our humble little stool, has to be designed to survive a constant, invisible battle against the forces of the real world. That's our next step. You see, designers are always fighting against 5 fundamental stresses. You've got tension, which is a pulling force. There's its opposite, compression, which squashes things together. You've also got shear, which is like a slicing force, bending, which is kind of a mix of forces, and finally torsion, which is all about twisting.
So let's go back to our stool. When you sit on it, your weight creates this pushing force that goes straight down the legs. That's compression. Those legs have to be designed to be strong enough to resist getting squashed or buckled under that force.
Now, the polar opposite of that is tension. The best example? Think about the huge steel cables on a suspension bridge. They are constantly being pulled, stretched, holding up the massive weight of the road deck below. They're literally designed to live their entire lives in a state of pure tension. And here we can see these two big ideas in action. An ancient Roman aqueduct uses the incredible power of the arch to handle immense compression, channeling all that force safely into the ground. But a modern suspension bridge does the opposite. It uses the unbelievable strength of cables in tension. It's just two totally different forces leading to two totally brilliant engineering solutions. So we've designed for all these forces, but there is one last, absolutely crucial step in all this. All those parts we just made, they have to fit together.
and they have to fit together perfectly. This is where we get into the science of precision. This brings us to a concept called tolerance. See, in the real world, nothing can be made perfectly perfect every single time. It's just not possible. So tolerance is the tiny acceptable amount of error you're allowed to have. Because if a hole is just a fraction too big or a leg is a hair too short, well, that's how you get a wobbly stool. Tolerance defines how close to perfect you really need to be.
For example, a designer might specify that a part needs to be exactly 200 millimeters long, plus or minus half a millimeter. That means any part that measures between 199.5 and 200.5 millimeters is good to go. But anything outside that tiny little window, it gets rejected. That's the incredible level of precision we're talking about.
So how on earth do you check this like 1,000 times an hour on a factory floor? You use this incredibly clever but super simple tool called a go/no-go fixture. It's got 2 slots. If your part fits through the go slot, great, it's not too big. Then, if it doesn't fit through the slightly smaller no-go slot, perfect, it's not too small. If it passes both tests, it's within tolerance. Boom. It's an instant, foolproof quality check.
Okay, so let's zoom back out and bring this all together. From that very first spark of an idea to the finished thing sitting in front of you, the journey is just filled with these hidden layers of complexity and genius.
That simple wooden stool, well, it's not so simple anymore, is it? It represents a choice of one material over dozens of others. It represents a total transformation from a living tree. It represents a smart design that can withstand the constant force of compression. And it's the result of a manufacturing process so precise that every single part can fit together perfectly.
So I want you to do something. Take a look around you, right now. Just pick up the object that's nearest to you and ask yourself, what unseen story is it telling? What choices were made to create it? What forces does it resist every day? And what incredible journey did it take to get from a raw material, somewhere on Earth, all the way into your hand? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.